Hello, everyone. Give people a few seconds to get in the room here as we just went live. This is the athletics info night for Jesuit High School. If you're not looking for Jesuit, then you're in the wrong spot. I'm Chris Marshall. I work at admissions and alumni, joined by Hank Weinberger, Jamie Ralph, and Jay Nationalist, who are all integral parts of what we do here from an athletics standpoint. So I'm going to give them an opportunity to tell you a little bit about themselves before we get going with the questions. So Hank, you want to start us off?
Yeah, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming on. We're really excited to speak with you guys in this way. Obviously, we'd love to have you on campus, showcase everything we have to offer, and excited that hopefully we can have that sometime soon. My name is Hank Weinberger. I'm starting my second year as athletic director. Spent 8 years in the college athletics industry after going to graduate school for sports administration. I'm a collegiate swimmer. The reason why I got into athletics is after my junior year in college, our swim program was cut, and that really wanted me to work. Made me want to work with young student athletes to achieve their goals. So it's kind of my why of why I'm in this industry and what I'm all about. So I'm gonna throw it next to our sports performance coordinator, Jay Nationalist.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jay Nationalist. I've been at Jesuit since the graduating class of 2008. So I've been operating at the high school in a lot of variations of job roles. Most recently would be sports performance coordinator, where we're trying to merge one sports medicine, which will be referred to as athletic training, and then also strength conditioning, where we will really be focusing more on performance and also minimizing risk of non-contact injuries and maximizing athletic potential. Went to school at Sac State, got my undergrad there in athletic training, where I worked with a multitude of sports, most working with football and baseball. I've also been in the private sector working with some internships with the Sacramento Monarchs, Sacramento River Cats, and also with a bunch of our local UFC fighters. And then I still continue to help out with our alumni who are either in college or professional sports level.
All right, so I think that brings it to me. My name is Jamie Ralph. I'm the head athletic trainer here at Jesuit. This is my 5th year as a certified athletic trainer, but my first year here at Jesuit. So it's been really great to kind of jump into the athletic department here and get to work with Jay and Hank a lot, making sure that our athletes are staying safe, especially with all the new COVID protocols. And we've been working overtime, making sure that we're doing everything we can to keep our athletes out, working out and keeping them safe before they come back to full sports. I have a master's degree in athletic training and working on my doctorate in athletic training right now. So trying to bring some of that knowledge here. And I also teach a sports medicine class, which I think we're going to talk about a little bit. So that's another cool opportunity that our students have. So yeah, very happy to be here.
Yes, and we are very lucky to have the three of you on campus working with our student athletes. I started recently as well. Like I said at the top, my name is Chris Marshall. I was a two-sport athlete at Jesuit. I graduated in the class of 2003. I played soccer and I ran track. And I played 3 sports collegiately at Chapman. I played soccer and lacrosse for 4 years, and I kicked for the football team, which is on the team. I have a tracksuit and 3 tackles, so certainly excited about that. But like Jamie said, excited to talk about that sports medicine part as well. We're going to have some interactive portions to what we're doing here tonight, which I'm sure you will all be excited about. So if you see the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen, there'll be opportunities for you to put some of those questions in, so feel free to do so. We have some set questions that we wanted to get to make sure that we cover all of our bases and don't leave anything out. And don't worry, if there's something you missed, this will be recorded and posted as well. But the first question we're going to start with is, what is a safe sports school? And Jamie, can you take this one for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jesuit is recognized as a safe sports school by the National Athletic Trainers Association. So this is an award given to a school that meets a certain criteria set out by that organization for upholding the highest standards of safety for our student athletes. So what this entails is that the National Athletic Trainers Association reviews all of our athletic department policies. They review our facility setup, the way we run our practices, our access to medical care, the fact that we have two athletic trainers, Jay and myself, on campus, and basically goes through all of those and looks at what we're doing to keep our students safe here. So we have been awarded the first team award on that. That means that we not only met all the criteria that they have set out for a safe sports school, but we exceeded several of them. So, biggest thing for me when I'm looking at this is our emergency preparedness. We have, comprehensive emergency action plans should someone get hurt during a sporting event. We have, Jay and I on campus for all of our sports so that if somebody gets hurt during practice, there's medical care right there. And then we also just do a lot with prevention too, that this recognizes, again, going above and beyond what other high schools might be doing, making sure that our athletes are absolutely safe 100% of the time that they're on campus.
Indeed, certainly. Good.
Being very proud of this award. We are one of 24 high schools in California. To put that into perspective, I just Googled it. There's 3,892 high schools in California, and we are one of 24 to receive that award. So I think that's something that we could kind of hang our head and be proud about.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, and one thing that I'd like to add is, when talking about athletic training and strength and conditioning is they really are connected. For the longest time, they've been separated at the collegiate and professional levels and high school levels. And in my time in college, we had one of our main strength coaches. He really looks at it combined, right? Because you can't do anything without the other, and they both benefit each other. And having two certified athletic trainers and having Jay with our strength and conditioning, it puts us at a level where we're able to do some prevention things on the front end, but also when a student's recovering from an injury, we have the necessary people on campus to not only work with our students' primary care doctors, but their physical therapists, and really guide them in a way to protect themselves. We're here to protect all of our student athletes. We know that a lot of them, when they're coming back from an injury, want to go do more and do it faster. But in the end, that's not safe. That's not safe for our student athletes. And it's our responsibility to put them in the best position to achieve their long-term goals. And so having Jay and Jamie on staff, it's a collaborative effort. I might get a little too involved in it because I've seen it up close. But in the end, I defer to them. They defer to physical therapists and doctors, and the line of communication is really nice to have, and it kind of sets us apart.
Absolutely. Certainly very fortunate to have the staff on campus that we do, and very proud of the hard work and the awards that we've received. And I think that's probably a pretty good segue. We will, of course, get to more specifics on the sports, but like Jamie mentioned, the sports medicine athletic training program, there's an opportunity, obviously not only to get treatment, but also to learn, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is our first year having a sports medicine class on campus. So I teach 2 sections of sports medicine, mostly to upperclassmen, but it is offered for a couple underclassmen as well. I have some sophomores in my class. And what we do is basically prepare any student that is looking into a medical related career. We go through a bunch of background all year on anything that they might be able to use in that career. So it is sports medicine. It's obviously very heavily focused on athletics, but we touch on, being a surgeon, being a doctor, a physical therapist, any background that you might want to be in, that we touch on that. So we start off with just a background into a bunch of the different professions, and then we start to focus on anatomy and physiology, what your body does when it's healing, why is it important that we take that time to get better, why is it important that we do rehabilitation exercises. They get to learn about common injuries in athletics. So how do we recognize them? How are we preventing them in our day-to-day practices? And then if somebody does have that injury, how are we going to treat it to make sure that they're getting back as quickly as possible, as safely as possible? So it's a pretty fun class, and it's normally, when we're not socially distanced, very hands-on class, and the students get to learn hands-on skills that they can then bring into whatever career they want to pursue in the medical field. And in addition to that, if somebody is not having space in their schedule to take the sports medicine class, or they don't want to do the year-long commitment with that, we also have an internship opportunity, which is an after-school program they can apply to, where they actually get to shadow me daily after school for a sports season. And that's where they're going to learn a lot of the hands-on skills. So they do learn taping, they learn stretching techniques, they go through some of the rehab that I do with athletes, and then they get to kind of experience what it's like to be an athletic trainer. So they're out on the sideline, they're listening to me make decisions and have conversations with coaches. So I'm really passionate about that. That was how I got involved in athletic training. Is my high school had a sports medicine program for after school for students, and I just fell in love. So if I can pass that along to any of our students here, I would love to do that. I think it's a great opportunity.
I'm certainly super amped. I'll probably poke my head in and check out a few of the classes myself. But now for some of the housekeeping things that you look at when you're coming in and you want to play a sport. How do you sign up for different sports, and how many sports can a freshman play?
Yeah, so we have 14 sports overall. We have 3 in the fall, 3 in the winter, and 8 in the springtime. You can really, the maximum number of sports you can play is 3. It's best to do one sport per season, just to be able to focus on that. And when you sign up, once you enroll in school and you register on our enrollment, you can sign up for your different sports. In that, the coaches get those signups and then communicate any information based on what you signed up for. And that all happens after the registration process.
Great. And then might as well follow up with that. I mean, you talked about the sports, how many sports were in each season, how many total sports is that? And then can you explain the difference between cut and non-cut, and which sports fall into those categories?
Yeah. So we have, in the fall, we have, so what I'll say is, in a normal fall season, everything obviously has been moved around this year. We have football, water polo, cross country. All of those are non-cut sports. In the wintertime, we have soccer, basketball, and wrestling. Soccer and basketball are cut sports. And in the springtime, our non-cut sports are rugby, swimming and diving, track and field. I think that's it. And then our cut sports are baseball, volleyball, golf, and then the 2 sports that can go different directions based on the amount of people that we have trying out for those sports is lacrosse and tennis. Really, it's about a numbers game to make sure we can accommodate everybody. When we talk about cut sports, we talk about there's at minimum a 3-day tryout period for those sports. The unique thing that we do is, for our basketball team, we have 2 freshman teams. And then on occasion, it does happen where we have a really good freshman group of certain players, and we decide to not cut if we do have a freshman team. So it kind of depends year to year. Nothing can be set in stone except for having 2 freshman basketball teams.
Right. And this one's for Jay. Who can use the Sports Performance Center and when?
Yeah, it's open for any sport or coach that wants to use the facility. So basically, what we usually do is a coach or a team will send the request for a time slot to use. And it usually goes priority wise would be a varsity in-season sport. And then we trickle down the JV freshman, and then we go off-season varsity JV freshman. I would say a huge majority of these sports are actually going year round, which I think is pretty awesome. And we are also in the works of, I call it a long-term athletic development program. So as a freshman, and we're really focusing on movement patterns and efficiency, how to use your body weight, how to absorb and repurpose that force. I think that helps out a lot. As we get older, we will introduce them, and I call it training maturity, not age. So based on their training maturity, we will progress them as we need to, using resistance weights as bands, med balls. We'll graduate up to the dumbbells, kettlebell, and something we've been trying to do with our graduating seniors is to make sure that they are competent in I call them Olympic style movements or Olympic style lifts, which they will be doing at the college or professional level. So we are really thinking long term. And I would also say, as a byproduct of athletics, and I would say the strength and conditioning room, the sports teams practices are almost like a non-traditional classroom, right? Not only are we looking at the physical well-being of these student athletes, but then I think they also learn things that they might not get in a traditional classroom, such as teamwork, consistency, accountability, being process-oriented, and learning work ethic. I know the buzzword a lot of times now is working through adversity, and I think you get that on a daily basis, going through some of the regiments of practice and games, you know. I think that's probably one thing that I really appreciate with our coaches that we have on various teams is they treat it as more of as being an educator. You know, there's more to winning, and there's a lot more to athletics than just playing at the next level. I think a lot of that stuff are byproducts of actually going through an athletic season.
I think that's a great point. Hank, go ahead.
Yeah, and really, I mean, high school athletics is education-based athletics, right? It's we're a stepping stone to students' futures, and whether that's a future as a collegiate athlete or as a building blocks to making them a better teammate, making them a better coworker, a better classmate to those when they move on to the next level. And really, that's what high school athletics is all about, right? And there's a lot of times people get too caught up in winning and losing. And in the end, what have we done to make our athletes better people, better listeners, better learners? Really, those are the things that we focus on the most. If our students leave here, I'm probably getting a little ahead of myself. Being able to listen, being able to learn, being able to take what they have been given by their coaches and apply it in their daily lives is really the goal of our program.
And there's a good follow-up for that one is, what are you looking for in a Jesuit athlete?
Yeah, you know, it's something where we talk about it a lot in our school, right? We have we want all of our students to be men for others, and that's everything that they do. It's how they act in the community with their peers, how they act when they go out and do service, how they act in the classroom, how they act at lunchtime, how they act on the field in practice, and also how they act in competition. Are they truly being a man for others and caring about not only themselves, but their teammates and their opponents? So much can be divisive, and it's really in competition, having the ability to care for one another, even in heated competition, is something, it's a learned skill. It's not something that happens overnight. It's something that we always strive for. And, you know, we really just want to have all of our student athletes leave here in a better place than when they came, but also leave Jesuit High School in a better place then they found it, right? And that's a huge thing. My goal, especially for our collegiate athletes coming from that industry, is I want those coaches that get our athletes to come back and want to recruit our school, because the athletes they get from us are the most prepared, both mentally and physically, and also as a teammate and as a person, and how they learn in the classroom. Because that's a really big thing. Is I've seen many a time students didn't if they didn't make it at the collegiate level, it's not because of their athletic ability. It was their ability to be on time, go to class, get good grades, treat their tutors and professors well. And really that's what we strive for at Jesuit, and that's what being a man for others is.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, why the three of you are on this call as well. It's the whole athlete, not just the physical. And playing for Coach Rose, who I believe is coming up on his 42nd season as the head varsity soccer coach, something that really stuck with me. He said, it's disrespectful to your opponent to give anything less than your best. I don't know if he coined it, but he said it to me. And that's something that always stuck with me. Maximum effort, sportsmanship are the priorities. Winning comes with both of those. And that's something that I've seen throughout the years as a spectator and a coach, and now back on the staff. So certainly excited about that. And along the lines too with the sports performance as well. I mean, given that things are slightly more complicated at the moment, what can the student athletes do to prepare for high school athletics?
We were trying to get some stuff out. But like I said, one of my goals in the future, something similar to what a college athlete would have. So usually if you commit and you play for a college, the summer or the spring before that, they usually send you an incoming freshman packet. So that's something in the works that I really want to try to get across in the next couple of years. But I would say from the physical side, having a good cardio base, really focusing on mobility and stability. And like I said, proper movement patterns, being able to do stuff with your body weight. So the main components I always try to tell incoming freshmen is, can you squat? Can you hinge? Can you press? Can you pull? Can you brace and carry loads? So basically, those are kind of the staple movements that you'll see in any activity, not just sport, in any activity. You're going to come across one of those movement patterns. Can you be proficient with that and have body control and own those positions and those movements before adding resistance? And then secondly, from a mental aspect, can you be detail oriented, right? Can you be detail oriented? Can you be open to coaching? And can you give have a hard working mentality? I think that goes a long way. And just being consistent with that. I think that goes a long way. You've already kind of put yourself a step ahead of the game by being able to do those things. Showing up, being committed and working hard, and being very detail oriented in those things.
Yeah, I'll comment on that a little bit too with what Jay's saying, that one of the things that we do for injury prevention here at Jesuit that I think is so important is the mobility and stability work that we do with all of our athletes. It's part of what Jay does in the weight room with them before they even get to lifting weights. It's part of the warm-ups that we teach all of our teams. And I think that's something that sometimes gets forgotten, that people look at how much can I squat, and that's not as important as is your body doing the right movement as you do that squat lift. So I think that's something for an athlete coming in to Jesuit. Don't focus as much on can you lift the most weight in the weight room, but look at the way your body's moving. Are you stable? Do you have the right mobility? And that's what we're looking for more, because we'll get you to the lifting that you need to get to. That part, we'll train you there. But when we look at injury prevention and longevity in your sport, those are things that we are focusing on, so that, you're not just successful here, but you're successful in all of the other things you want to do in your life. Like Jay said, those are things that carry over into every part of life, whether you're playing a sport at Jesuit or not. We want to make sure you're safe and, successful in that.
Yeah, I'll coin the term that I think LeBron used at the finals, right? The best ability is availability, right? So making sure you're healthy is also one of the things too, right? So that's what we really try to focus on. Yeah.
And you got me excited about dialing in my kinetic chain there. But just coming into the fall, when does freshman football start? When do the other fall sports start? I mean, it was obviously a great place to make friends and to get plugged in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, we're fortunate to have a great coaching staff who wants to make themselves available to all of our athletes, like Jay said, almost year round. They've been doing a great job with the uncertain times that we're in, a few days a week, and just engaging with our freshmen and all of our athletes on campus. So normally freshman football starts near the end of June. Our cross country coaches who are all on campus, mainly all on campus coaches, have our head coach who's used to be on campus, but Walt Lang is a cross country track and field legend. They make themselves available early on too. So in the summer, and then water polo, they'll usually get started right around when school starts. But there is also water polo and multiple other sport club options as well that our coaches are a part of, to try to engage with all of our students prior to their arrival on campus.
Yeah, and I know Coach Lang doesn't only go to track and cross country tryouts. He will often find athletes at the other tryouts, and that was one of the things that I enjoyed the most about playing at Jesuit, and a lot of the athletes do. Hank, I mean, about 2/3, right? Go out and play, but there's a spot for you to compete if you want to compete. And there was a classmate of mine named Austin Ramos from the class of 2003 who played soccer his freshman year, and he didn't make the soccer team his sophomore year for the JVs. And Coach Lang was there waiting for him, and he went on to be the number one runner at UCLA and run as a professional and compete at a high level in the state meet in track and field as well. So if you want to compete and you're passionate about sports, there is a home for you in one of the sports here at Jesuit, which is one of my favorite parts.
Chris, can I chime in a little bit as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing that I've seen growing a little bigger with some of our students is they might not necessarily want to play athletics, but they want to be involved. And we've had kids who end up being team managers for various sports. They start delving into photography or videography and making a name for themselves there. And there's a lot of just kind of different avenues of being connected with that, even if you think you might not want to play, but are interested in just being involved. We've had kids fly drones for us to film practices, to film videos, statisticians. We've actually had a couple kids in the past who become managers and actually segue that into working at the collegiate and athletic level, being part of some of the college World Series teams. And actually, I think one of them was on the front office side and ended up getting a ring with the Boston Red Sox as well. So there are a lot of different avenues in athletics that you could explore that may not just pertain to playing athletics.
There might have been some hardware coming from the Giants as well, from some former students. And as a former sports broadcaster, I'd be happy to answer any questions about that in the future. I haven't had any questions come through, so I hope that function is working. But if not, you can shoot me an email or Hank, and we'll be happy to answer your questions after this as well. But a couple more questions, and I think it's important, obviously, for the three of you on this one. Should I focus on one sport or try multiple sports?
Yeah, I would say it's always best to be able to diversify yourself as an athlete. Obviously, I spent 8 years at the collegiate level, and one of the questions we always asked was, what other sports do you play? And this was a gauge of your ability to grow as an athlete. And I think also the time commitment that being a multi-sport athlete does is it allows you to really manage your time and understand, balance your academics. And really, from a time management standpoint, it's a great skill to have and to develop at in high school, so that you can, when you get to college, and it might not be in athletics, but you're going to need to be able to manage your time, and doing it at the high school level will only prepare you for that moving forward in life, really.
And anything from a performance perspective?
Yeah, I'd say play it all as much as you can until you can't. Talking to Reese Hoskins, one of our alum, he's with the Philadelphia Phillies. He was asked that question about being a multi-sport guy. He actually played football, basketball, and baseball, and he kind of recommends like play anything you can until you can't. Then from a performance side, I would say I was a product of being a multi-sport athlete in high school. I thought it gave some of the repetitive motions a rest, and then you can work on some other things, right? So you kind of give that specificity a rest, and then you can kind of work on some other stuff that might help you become better at a sport when you choose to actually go to one tail end, right? You credit a lot of Kobe's skill work was playing soccer when he was younger, right? So, I mean, you could always segue another sport into helping out a sport once you specify later on. Is kind of my thought process.
Yeah, and like Jay said, with the giving your body a little bit of a rest from an injury prevention standpoint, being able to play different sports throughout the year does definitely decrease your risk of overuse injuries. So, in the past 10 or so years, we've seen kind of an uptick in shoulder injuries or knee injuries, and people that are just playing baseball or just playing soccer for those formative years. When you're in middle school and high school, your body is still growing and still kind of getting to the point where it can handle that repetitive stress. And so it's good to take some time away from that sport where you're not doing the same motions over and over, but definitely by getting into another sport, you're not taking just time off. You're still staying in shape. You're still working on fitness level, cardio level, your reaction times. All of that is, part of any sport. And so being able to give your body a chance to rest in those times and work different movement patterns is really important in the growing boys, that they're still able to get through these seasons without causing damage to their bodies that's going to take them out later on.
Well, I thought Hank made a great point as well. Moving on to the next level, I know I felt very prepared for the additional rigors that went with playing collegiate sports, because of how the coaches treated me, especially, and then the way that I had to manage that time as well. And this one's another question. This one is for Jamie. Is the sports medicine class offered to freshmen?
Yeah, so what we do is it's open to upperclassmen first. And once all of the upperclassmen have registered, if there's still spots open, then the underclassmen can register. So it's definitely available, but it just depends on how many of the juniors and seniors sign up first. So it's going to be kind of a case-by-case basis. But the internship option is open to all levels. So if there's somebody that wants to take the sports medicine course and they don't get in their freshman year, they're absolutely totally welcome to apply to that internship, and that will get them the hands-on skills. I'll be there to answer questions for them and hopefully segue into them getting into the class the next year.
And one of the questions that Hank answered here in the question section was about the GPA requirement. It's currently a 2.0, which is a good segue into how can students balance school and athletics?
Yeah, I think that is our low end level. I tend to have lots of conversations after the quarter's end. Or after the semester's end, mid-season, with our athletes that are even flirting with that. To me, I want all of our athletes to have the ability to go play their sport in college if they desire. And if they do desire that, their GPA level needs to be much higher than that 2.0 level, right? It's coming from, spent 8 years at Cal, and obviously the GPA requirements there are much different. But ultimately, an athlete having a higher GPA opens up more options for them. The biggest thing I would say about balancing academics and athletics is all about time management. When you're in their flex class at school, are you playing video games with your classmates, or are you sitting down in the library and doing 30 minutes of homework while you can? When you go home, are you messing around on your phone, or do you sit down and you do your work, right? It all comes down to time management for you to have the ability to put yourself in the best position to succeed both athletically and academically. I will say that if you aren't succeeding academically, it'll bleed into athletics. It always does. They always go hand in hand, and we always work with any of our athletes who might be struggling academically for one reason or another. We have great resources on campus for all of our students. We have a great story here with some guys that have taken advantage of those resources and will be able to go play collegiate athletics at the highest level because taking care of their academics. Can't speak on it now since it hasn't happened yet. It'll happen in a couple months. One that I'm really proud of.
Yeah, certainly a lot of support within the team as well. The teammates will help you if you're struggling. The important thing is recognizing that and asking for the help, like Hank said. A couple more questions coming in. This one, are there extra costs associated with sports?
So yes, there are. It really depends what sport it is. But also in a normal year, we do a student fundraiser. And as long as our the student participates in that fundraiser, they have the ability to access those funds if they're unable to pay for the extra cost that's associated with those sports. A lot of that revolves around whether it's athletic gear or some travel that happens, but those are usually the extra costs that occur. It's mainly revolved around gear that you get for being on the team as well. And then, Chris, I'd actually also like to answer this last question that's in the chat. How many of your athletes get athletic scholarships? It's last year we had from a true scholarship standpoint, in between 10 to 20 around there that received money to go play in college. But we also have a number of athletes who have the ability to go walk on and then earn a scholarship. I'm someone who I walked on as a swimmer in college, and after my freshman year, I earned that scholarship. And that happens a lot. That happens a lot with our athletes. They prove themselves. We had a player this past year who walked on at a Pac-12 school and played as a true freshman in their first game this past weekend. And that really made us proud to see someone who put the hard work in, not only while they were here, but once they left, and are a good representation of our school. So I will say we had 2 baseball players sign yesterday. We'll have a basketball player sign on Monday, and that's just our early ones. There's many more to come in December for football, and then when we get into February, the later signing periods as well. So, I would say our last year's class of number of athletes that are going to play in college is upwards of 25, maybe more. Each one of them, they worked hard here and they did a good job and are great representatives of our school.
Yeah, and of course, Division III and the virtual varsity club sports as well. So there's loads of opportunities, and the Ivies, which are not scholarship athletics. So certainly tons of high quality athletes, and we have a little more time left. So if you guys have any last minute questions, fire them into the old question box there, and we'll try to get them answered. Right now we have one more, and it's are the off-season sports also done through Jesuit, or do you need to go to a private club? I know there's some rules with the coaches and things.
Yeah, it depends on the sport, and it depends on the time of year. There's lots of section in state bylaws that say when we are and aren't allowed to be a Jesuit high school sport. So I will say in this current year, with the uncertainty that's been going on, the state and section offices have done a really good job of allowing our conditioning to occur as Jesuit, so that we don't need to have our athletes go and find different. There's some club teams that have started that are outside of Jesuit. We've had about 6 sports start here in the last few months, and so we're really looking forward to hopeful start date for a couple sports starting on December 7th with official practice. So we're really looking forward to that.
Yeah, certainly looking forward to having sports back. One of my favorite parts. Looking forward to getting back out in there and coaching. And another one coming in, best fall sport to play if you're playing baseball in the spring.
That is a great question. Can you email me directly so that I can better answer that? That's a good one. It's it kind of depends on position, depends on it's, if you have a tendency to have arm trouble already, I would say don't do water polo. Just from that standpoint, it depends. That's a very good question. I'm stumped. Great question. Thanks for that.
It's all the sports are good sports. So do the one that makes you happy. But
that's right. Yeah. What's your why? What is the basis of why you want to do a fall sport? Is it just for general conditioning? Is it to try other sports? Is it to get better at the said baseball sport in the spring? So I think those are some of the questions of asking what your why is for that. And that'll probably better help you make a decision on if a fall sport should be played, or if you should focus on some other things to get better in the spring,
Well, and I know I certainly started running track as off-season conditioning for soccer, and help with speed work and conditioning, and fell in love with doing it and was super happy. So you never know where your path is going to take you. Another question coming in: if I swim year round, and I'm assuming that means for Jesuit, will that count for PE?
Yeah, it depends on the semester that you have PE. Even though I am PE department head as well, that's getting into the weeds of contract PE and all that entails. So if you had PE the second semester, then yes, it would count. And then we have a question about, do you have a sports booster club? We have a school booster club that revolves around all of our activities on campus, including athletics.
Yeah, and certainly a great opportunity, and I know that they will certainly be looking for incoming freshman parents. You don't have to have an upperclassman to be a part of that and to be an active part of that. But looks like we've gotten to all the questions that have come in, so I'll open it to you guys if you have any kind of final words about athletics.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for joining us. We had a really good turnout tonight, and we spend a lot of our time, especially in the last few months, playing by a new set of rules. And in the end, what it's made me realize is how much I really do appreciate our coaches and our athletes, and for all the hard work that they do. They really, and for myself, going out there and being with them, that's the great part about my job. That being out there and being at practice and all that, I enjoy it. I enjoy being involved, and I really enjoy being around our student athletes at all levels, and trying to support them the best way I can. So I hope that if you have any questions, please feel free to email myself or Jay or Jamie for any specific questions. And we really look forward to getting to know you face to face here soon.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you. Jay, Jamie, any parting words?
I think Hank summed it up well. It's a great program to be a part of, and we love to have all of these student athletes on campus. So we're excited to have them here.
Well, great. And like I said, if you have any additional questions, feel free to send us a note via email, and we'll get back to those. But again, thank you so much for spending some time with us this evening on a Thursday, and we'll hope to see you on campus sometime soon. Have a great night.
Thanks so much.